So we're at the last part of this tutorial, which is basically what do we do with the response when we actually get it? How do we make sure that our app is aware that we had a successful response or a response that errored out? And how do we provide our app information on that response, whatever actually happened? So this is where we use the put method from Redux Saga. And what put will do is kind of essentially dispatch an action with whatever information that you want to send back to the store. So let me give you an example here, and we're going to go into our worker saga, and again, we are using this generator function, so we can actually return multiple responses when this function is recalled multiple times. So for the second time that this function is called, we are going to yield, and we are going to yield this put method. Again, what put does is call the action or dispatch an action with some of the information from your payload, or your response. So we are going to put or dispatch an action with a type of, and since we're putting this in the try, this means that the response was successful, so we can dispatch a lunchbox lessons create succeeded action here, and then we can also provide that action with information about our successful response. So the Axios response contains an object called data, so we will say response is equal to response data, and this will when let me just explain this one more time so it all makes sense. What happens is our watch create lesson is running. Every single time that the create action is fired, it's going to take every one of them and put it through this worker saga, providing that action information along with it. So we'll call it one time, and it's going to yield the promise of what is returned from the Axios post method here. We'll send that back. Now, when Redux Saga understands that that promise has resolved, it will call create lesson async once again, and since it's the generator function, it will bypass these first two lines here and start going towards the next relevant line to process. So when that promise is resolved, it will either error out or it will be successful and yield the next line that we define it to respond with. So the other thing that we're going to want to do is yield an error if the response errors out. So I will yield a put down here, and instead of create succeeded to be dispatched, we want to have create failed dispatched, and just send along information about the message so that it can be displayed somewhere or acted upon in our app. So message would be equal to the error message. All right, so now we want to make sure the reducer is set up to handle the success or failed actions that we're dispatching inside of our saga. So I'm going to go to our lesson reducer and make sure that we handle the case for create success or succeeded, and the other one should also be implemented as well, but just for brevity we will just talk about this one here. So for this instance, a case create success, we are going to we'll just return state here, but obviously you would want to modify it, and we will console log success. Yes, okay, save, give it a refresh, and now I'm going to click on the add lesson button and let's see what happens. All right, we just witnessed a successful API call and response. You saw that it attempted to create the new lesson via the API. It took a little while because it had to load through that process. So it returned that promise, and when it finally succeeded, we got the object from the response that we were console logging, and then it dispatched our success method, which console logged our success from our reducer. So now we can do this every single time, and it's going to have the exact same information. Success, 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 and that's what we like to see. And just so we can see a little bit of information on the request, I'll open it up from our network here and see that it is passing along our section ID of 8 from the action creator and the response that we're getting back. And this is the mocked response from the JSON placeholder site, which just returns the information that you provided it and a generic ID for the body. So that is it for the basic introduction to Redux sagas. Hopefully that helps you understand a little bit more about how this stuff gets wired up. And check out the documentation if you want to continue to improve upon the app and use some of the different methods that Redux Sagas provides to you now that you know how everything kind of plays together. So thanks for watching. If you have questions, feel free to contact me on Twitter at DaveKiss or send me an email, dave@davekiss.com. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.